Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, folks, welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and this afternoon or this morning on the West Coast, we have with us Kresimir Peharda from the law firm YK Law. Nice to have you, Kresimir.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Excellent. Yeah, so it's still morning time there, so you're probably still drinking coffee, maybe. But what's your beverage of choice to get started?
Well, I'm not a coffee drinker, so actually it's usually pretty boring, just water or maybe a protein shake. That's about it. An occasional green tea is the big excitement.
Oh, good. Well, listen, that excitement is in the eyes of the beholder, so good for you. So are you like a athlete? You work out in the morning to take the protein shake? Is that part of the routine?
I do. Yeah, I try to work out in the morning because that seems to be the easiest part to get that time in. And I'm actually training for a century bike ride, so 100 miles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in about a month. So yeah, it's every weekend. I got a long ride and 2 or 3 rides during the week.
Oh, good. Where's that ride? Is it up the coast?
It's going to be on the coast. Yeah, in Oceanside, California.
Oh, very nice. Good. I was just in Los Angeles not too long ago. It's a good place. I always enjoy it. I'm in Southeast Florida now, so we just went through that whole hurricane thing, which you probably saw in the news.
Yeah. I mean, it looks terrible for that West Coast around Naples and Fort Myers. Yeah, terrible. There was some video of what looked like a small shark basically trying to get out of somebody's lawn because the water had flooded so high. It was like basically the lawn was covered and there was a small shark swimming in the lawn. It's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, those are the risks when you decide to live right on the water. I prefer to be a few miles inland so I don't have to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, well, the hurricanes keep coming, and with climate change, they're just going to get better and bigger. And but people love Florida, so I don't know. I think the big thing is going to be to see what the insurance companies do now after this. How many people get renewed, and what their rates are going to be.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of those people there don't even have insurance. Unfortunately, it's kind of the haves and the have-nots. The have-nots definitely don't have insurance, and the people that have, I mean, they just rebuild bigger and better. So anyway, it's an interesting dichotomy here. Well, more than a dichotomy in the state of Florida. It's quite a mosaic, but I'll leave it at that. You're on the West Coast. The politics here are quite different than the East Coast. I know.
Yeah, they are. But the interesting thing is, and I don't know if this is climate change or not, but we had a hurricane come within about 200 plus miles of Los Angeles. It was in the Bay of California, Baja California, and that's like the furthest north I think a hurricane has come either ever or certainly recently.
Oh yeah.
And even from 200 miles away, I mean, we had very strong winds and strange weather and crazy rain. So I can imagine. I mean, 200 miles away, and it was weakened by that point. So
right.
You can just gives you an idea of the strength of these things. It's
the strength is
awesome.
Insane. I mean, on the East Coast here, you get the bands that come around and they actually produce tornadoes. So we actually had some tornadoes touch down here, really close to where I am. So we were lucky about that. But anyway, it's crazy stuff. But let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about what you do. I mean, I know you're a lawyer, but it sounds like you're a bit of a deal guy, and you've got to focus on lots of different things. So tell us about what you do.
Yeah, so I have I'm a deal attorney. I do handle pre-litigation, but if things go into litigation, if somebody actually files complaints, then usually I bring in my litigation partners to handle that.
Okay.
But I have a big focus on the cannabis industry. I also have a smaller focus on the crypto industry. And then, kind of the practice kind of varies across other industries. And it's a lot of different areas that are traditional deal areas. So M&A, buying and selling of these businesses, securities, raising money for these businesses, and then just general commercial agreements and corporate governance, board meetings and those kinds of things. So it's got a couple of big industry focuses, and then sort of practice areas across those.
So how'd you get started into that? Like, how'd you make your way into cannabis and crypto?
Yeah, so cannabis was really a result of clients coming to me and asking for advice, and me being totally unprepared for it. Probably about a dozen years ago, it started out with a landlord who wanted to rent space out to a dispensary, and so about a dozen years ago, and really frustrating situation because, of course, I told the client, I understand leases and I can help you with that, but who knows what the local police department will do, what the federal law enforcement will do. So we could sign this great lease, and the police could come in and shut everything down, and you'd be potentially brought in for questioning as well. So really an impossible situation. So over time, those questions kind of kept coming in and in. And then about 5 years ago, I decided to really try to make a kind of a specialty out of it. I joined a law firm out of Colorado that was cannabis only, called McAllister Garfield, and I eventually ran the California practice for that firm, and handled all the cannabis in California. Did some work in Colorado as well.
Okay, so interesting. So what else does the firm do? I mean, first of all, tell me about your firm. Like, how big is the firm, and is it just business law?
No, so it's I won't say full service, but quite a few practice areas. So we do immigration, we have an entertainment practice, we have an IP practice, we do business litigation. We have, of course, a corporate practice, M&A practice. We have tax partners. We have a white collar practice. So quite a few different practice areas, bankruptcy, and a few other areas. And we're spread out over LA, Irvine, New York, Dallas, and we have folks in Miami and Panama as well.
Oh, you do? Oh, so how many lawyers total? It sounds like a big practice.
I think we're a little under 30 lawyers and then some staff.
Okay. Is it it sounds like it's mainly organized around those areas. And like when you say Miami, and I think of, again, crypto and maybe cannabis too, right?
Well, yeah, the people we have in Miami are actually focused on litigation and white collar defense, mostly. So they do some other things, but not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the mayor there is certainly trying to carve out a spot around crypto.
Yeah, which I think is pretty interesting for a city to do that. I think it's smart from a kind of branding standpoint. We'll see how it develops. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot slower process than people think, especially in view of the downturn in the crypto space and a lot of the problems in the crypto space.
Yeah, I mean, what is your view on that since you've been involved in it?
Well, I think we have a couple of problems, and they're tied together. I think one, the regulators waited too long to come out with any regulations. I think there's infighting between the SEC and the CFTC, and other agencies. I think they're trying to do perfect instead of just good enough.
Yep.
I think a couple of years ago, they could have just done good enough and said, hey, maybe this is all an experiment. These are the laws for the next couple of years until we, figure it out. So I think that's part of it. And as a result, I think that's created a vacuum. And I think a lot of unscrupulous players have come in and taken advantage of the hype and of people. You also see that security is a huge problem with the exchanges and some of the other pieces of infrastructure in the whole system. And part of that is lack of regulation and lack of people being pushed to do the right thing. So it's unfortunately it's developing in a way that a lot of people have gotten hurt and will probably continue until some of these things are buttoned up. But it's been a little bit of a hysteria in the space, and understandably, because the price was going up and there was a lot of excitement. But fundamentally, it was surprising to see how many people were putting money in when I think it's pretty clear they had no idea what they were they were investing or what they were getting, so on and so forth. So it's unfortunate, because I think the technology, the blockchain and crypto and NFTs are real and are here to stay. It could really transform various areas. So one example that I think is really interesting is land registries, certainly in countries that don't have a good system of land registries and basically tracking of title and chain of title. I think that could be really interesting, going forward. But it's early days, and I think a lot of times the hype just is way out in front of the reality in the market.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, whenever people see an opportunity to make money fast, they jump in and it settles down and people get washed out. And I agree with you. I mean, it's really just another form of, infrastructure network. Blockchain definitely makes a lot of sense. And, all the stuff around Bitcoin and stuff, that's just speculation. But that'll settle down at some point. I'm a big believer in it myself too. So what kind of litigation what would, around those spaces? You said you don't litigate directly, but what are the issues that people are litigating around?
Well, across any space, or
no, the stuff that you're involved with, when you say you hand it off to.
So there are situations like the cannabis industry is a good example. I mean, there are situations where we'll be representing a company that has taken on financing from someone, and that lender will try to essentially collect against that company, and that's actually pretty difficult in the cannabis industry. So we've educated, I'll say, opposing counsel on what they can and can't do, because it's really tricky because of all the regulations. So in other words, in a normal situation, if you're a lender and you're secured and you have a UCC1 financing statement, you can pretty much just go after all the assets and, more or less, to simplify, take over the company. Well, you can't do that in cannabis for a bunch of reasons, the regulations principally. So it's a lot trickier, because then the lender has to think about, okay, are there enough hard assets, equipment and fixtures and this kind of stuff, and what else can we do? Because they can't actually take possession of cannabis products.
So the unsecured loans, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, they try to secure them, but it's a lot trickier. And if the company goes is on the verge of, I'll say, insolvency, because there is no bankruptcy in cannabis yet, it's tricky. It's tricky. There are fewer options, and it's much more complicated. And law firms that haven't dealt in this space often get kind of tied up and make mistakes.
Yeah, well, it makes for an interesting marketplace, right? People are lending at much higher rates. I'm sure they're getting nice returns. And
yes,
right.
Yes, much higher returns. I mean, even the large multi-state operators and public companies in cannabis, I mean, their cost of capital is probably double what non-cannabis companies have.
Oh, sure.
And they're the big ones. So for everybody else that's not public, or that's not say over maybe 150 million in revenues, yeah, cost of capital is kind of loan shark costs, very, very high. Yeah, very high.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
difficult.
Yes. Well, I think, I mean, I'm sure you probably agree that, it will eventually become federally approved and legal in just a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when someone like Justice Clarence Thomas comes out and says, wow, there's really a huge inconsistency between federal law and state law and kind of what's happening that's unsustainable, you know, you know things are going to change, because he's not exactly a cannabis advocate or
Yeah.
supporter. But it's crystal clear to everybody that you just can't have, you can't have close to 40 states with some form of legalized cannabis and the federal government saying it's illegal. It makes no
Yeah, it
sense.
makes no sense. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. There are a lot of inconsistencies with that for sure. So let me just switch a little bit here. Your path to becoming a lawyer. I saw your background. It looks like, where'd you go to? You went to Harvard, then you went to Pepperdine, which is, I love that spot. It's a great place. So what was the path like? How did you become a lawyer? Why did you become a lawyer?
Yeah, so for me, it was, I guess part of it was curiosity about how things work, how the legal system works, how contracts work. And
Yeah.
I always thought I would, my role would be somewhere between kind of the law and business, because I didn't want it to be too academic. And so it was really kind of an interest in that kind
Yeah.
of interplay of the law and business that started it for me. And yeah, I mean, I've kind of focused on the business side of it ever since. I mean, to me, what's nice about the business side is it's really most of the time, and what I do, it's about building things up and people paying more taxes ultimately because of growth and more employees and all that, as opposed to litigation, which a lot of times is really tearing things down, right? And can be pretty zero sum
Yeah.
gain. So that's not nearly as fun, I think, to do. That it's the energy is much worse, and it sounds kind of new agey, but it's true. It's very different when you're working even with an investor on the other side to provide financing. It's still a positive kind of process, generally speaking,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
because they're trying to build something, the investor is trying to get a return. It's theoretically kind of a win-win, right? So it's a much more pleasant process for me.
Yeah. Interesting. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
So originally from Croatia, moved to the US, moved to Chicago when I was little, and then moved to Los Angeles with my parents.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Why'd you leave Croatia? Why'd your family leave?
Well, it was really because of political pressure. My dad was active politically in essentially what was the Croatian Spring. So it was a movement to try to overthrow the communist government in Yugoslavia.
Yep.
And it failed, like it failed in Hungary and Czechoslovakia and other places. And so basically, my parents were blacklisted. So
Wow.
so they were forced out essentially without without physical force, but basically prevented from making a living.
Oh, interesting. So the immigration process then was probably a little more favorable than it is today.
Yeah, it was more favorable. I mean, we had a sponsor,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah, so it was definitely easier. And my mom knew English already, so it wasn't as painful as it could be.
Okay. Okay. But maybe that's why you have a little bit of interest in immigration law. You mentioned that, I think.
Well, I don't actually do any. I mean,
The
we
firm?
have a practice that does that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have some familiarity with it.
Hmm.
Actually, I've done some work on the investment side of it. So there's a EB-5 program.
Sure, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that allows foreigners to essentially.
Which was shut down under the past administration, right?
Well, it was, I think, significantly curtailed.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah. And there have been problems with that, but I think
sure.
the concept is okay. But
Yeah.
anyway, I've been involved in a few of those, both kind of on the setup from the
Mm,
security side of things, and also from a kind of a forensic standpoint where things go badly, and then we go back and look at what happened, and it's and you see a lot of affinity group fraud
yeah.
in that context. A lot of what I've seen is Chinese nationals and Chinese American folks, and yeah, definitely some funny business in some of those transactions.
Mm. Is your practice all over the country? Is it? I mean, I know you mentioned offices around the country, but where's the bulk of your practice?
Well, the bulk is going to be in California, Colorado, Oregon. Some clients, international clients, have had certainly from the UK and Australia and Malaysia, places like that. But it's principally West Coast focused in California and those states.
Okay, very good. What was I going to ask you? I'm just curious about technology too. We're a legal tech company. I mean, how much do you guys use that in the practice and rely on that? And what are your views on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be very helpful. I think we use a practice management system that for documents and for billing and for a few other things, and I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
um, um, I use a software for um, basically tasks and deliverables, where I'm able to create discrete tasks for different clients to kind of keep track of what's happening. So I think that's useful. Um, there are other pieces of software that I've toyed around with that automate stuff. I mean, certainly there things like the LexisNexuses of the world and Westlaws that have some decent forms and other things like that. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to look at it, but I think a lot of the tech solutions for the space are clunky. And I understand, because nobody wants to spend a ton of time customizing unless they think there's going to be a big payoff at the end.
Yeah, that's right.
So I understand that, but some of the solutions just don't really work that well for lawyers, I think, that are out there. But yeah, I mean, I'm certainly open to I'm open to it. I mean, we use virtual data rooms by now, and so there are other pieces of technology out there. But it's for me, it's I have to see that it's useful, and you know, try it a few times to get comfortable with it. But I'm certainly open to it. I mean, years ago, for example, when I was representing a lot of public companies, the process for filing insider trading reports was all manual.
Mm.
Basically, you had to get a essentially a secretary to type up a piece of paper, and you would then send it, FedEx it out to your client, and then they would FedEx it to the SEC. Well, the printing companies like Donnelly and some of the other folks came up with a web-based system that kind of revolutionized that. And I was one of the early adopters of that, tested it out. It was pretty amazing because it cut the amount of time necessary from, essentially days and days to maybe 45 minutes, really.
Sure.
A phone call, and then essentially me inputting something on the web-based application, and then pressing file, and it was done.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are times when certain pieces of tech really change things. But of course, the irony there is that it actually reduced the billing for the firm. So that's tricky too, right? Running a law business is that you want efficiency, but you also don't want to. You don't want all the efficiency to go to your clients without any kind of sort of payback on that.
Yeah, I understand. Well, you just got to get more clients. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Do more clients, more of those reports, because now you can. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand. I mean, that is one of the it is sort of one of the conflicts you have, right? As you create more efficient, it means if you're relying on billable hours, those go down. But that's why people are trying to squeeze out more efficiencies on the operation side, so you can actually still maintain a margin, right?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
not easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and clients just see the cost, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right. They don't care about your business. They just see the
yeah,
product. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, so tricky, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think I'm definitely a believer in it. I mean, I've been in the business long enough to know attorneys who never typed on a computer. They just had their assistant do that, or used paper, legal pads still and things like that. So I think we've come a long way from that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So just to kind of wrap it up here, I mean, what do you want to leave with the audience here about you and your firm, and what's the best way for somebody to connect with you?
Yeah, so I think we have kind of a unique value proposition in the space because we have a variety of these practices, including a China practice, and almost full service capability. But we're not big law, so we don't have nobody has billing rates in the thousands of dollars
Yeah.
per hour. And so we tend to be a lot more flexible than those firms. We have people who came from big law firms and are now with us, but don't have the same expectations. We're not asking for six-figure checks up front from clients and things like that. So just easier to deal with, I think, than many of the law firms. And we don't have 50 layers. Like on most things, I'm the only attorney on the call. Perhaps I have a colleague or an associate on the call. So we're not overstaffing these things
Sure.
like some of the big law firms do, because they need to hit their numbers. It's as some clients have said, oh my God, there were like 4 attorneys on this call. I could just think of the billing rate for each minute of that call, thousands and thousands of dollars. So
I've
we,
been on the
we
other side of that. I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean.
yeah. So we don't do that. But yeah, I mean, our website is yklaw.us. So yklaw.us.
Yep.
And, anybody looking for help, feel free to reach out, contact me or anybody else at the firm.
Excellent. Good. Well, listen, I appreciate it. For everybody, once again, it's Kresimir Peharda, YK Law. And this show is sponsored by EmotionTrac, EmotionTrac with a C, and we are a legal tech platform that helps law firms, particularly litigators, do case prep if they go into trial or remediation. Thanks again, Kresimir. Really appreciated the time with you.
Thanks a lot for having me. I enjoyed it.
You bet.